is a new Christmas action movie directed by John Woo starring Joel Kinnaman. Joel Kinnaman lives kind of in a bad side of California. There was a lot of gang violence, a lot of gang rivalries going on. And during a drive-by shooting between these two rival gangs, his son is accidentally shot and killed, and he ends up, as he's trying to go after them, he gets shot right in the throat, completely destroys his ability to talk. He now can't speak anymore. Puts a real strain on his life, on his marriage, on everything, and he vows that in 1 year's time, on Christmas Eve, he's going to go after the guys who are responsible for killing his son, and he's going to kill them all. John Woo is regarded as one of the best action directors out there. I admittedly am not too familiar with a lot of his movies. I feel like Face Off is his big American movie. But regardless, because of his reputation, I was interested in seeing what he would bring to an action Christmas movie. I felt like we would maybe be getting a new modern day Die Hard on our hands. And is this movie Die Hard? Not particularly, no. So what works in this movie? Okay, I will say, the action when it goes down, it's pretty fun. A lot of it is very unbelievable, you know, cars just flipping over a million times from crashing into a fire hydrant, or Joel Kinnaman evading all these bullets coming after him for no apparent reason. You have to sit there and be like, no one's that bad a shot. Not with those guns. But it is fun, it is enjoyable. When the violence goes down, it's a bloody good time. Granted, have I seen a lot better action movies this year? Absolutely. But is this movie bad action? Certainly not. Also, I will give Joel Kinnaman this much credit. The fact that he went through this whole movie and didn't have to talk, I don't know if that's really a compliment of the fact that, you know, he did the whole movie and didn't utter a single line of dialogue, or if it's just the fact that, you know, his job was pretty easy because he didn't have to memorize a script. Point is, I did feel like Joel Kinnaman did a good enough job here with the character. You know, this guy is mourning his son, it's causing a strain on his life, his relationship, and he's just driven for revenge. Here, however, is where the movie really loses me. Okay, I get that the movie wanted to go for something very unique and kind of giving us a silent action movie. To be honest, I was very interested in seeing how that was going to pan out. Because had it played out, had it worked, you would have probably one of the most unique action movies on our hands. And to be fair, is the movie unique in that sense? Sure it is. But unique, original, and different doesn't always make it a good thing. The fact that there is barely, and I mean barely, any dialogue in this entire movie, it causes you to look at the characters and feel like they're very underdeveloped. Like, for example, Joel Kinnaman and his wife, they have brief conversations with each other via text messaging, which I understand. I mean, he can't talk, but it doesn't do a very good job at really illustrating how strong the relationship might have been or how they're trying to endure this loss together. It didn't feel very real. It didn't hit me the way I feel like it should have. Like, two parents just lost their only child. That should be devastating. That should be emotional. That should absolutely just gut you. And it didn't really happen here. And I mean, I'm not going to stand up here and say that, you know, the movie needed dialogue for it to be emotional. I mean, we all saw the first 10 minutes of Up. There's no dialogue in that, and we all were wiped out emotionally completely. That's what makes Up great. Because through Up, they had such a great story there to basically illustrate what made it so emotional. Silent Night should have taken a similar route, as in it should have focused on giving us a great story to make us feel very, very strong emotions when bad things happen in this movie, and unfortunately, I never felt that way, because I don't know how much commitment John Woo really had to the story of this movie as he did the action in this movie. I mean, even with the villains of this movie, the gangs, the leader who has caused all this trouble for Joel Kinnaman, you know nothing about these people. You know a little bit about what they do, what they're involved in, but there's no layers to them. There are no layers to them. Like, they're just bad guys for the sake of bad guys. I like my villains to have a little bit of character, to have a little bit of personality, to stand out in some way. These guys, no one will ever remember them. And even with Joel Kinnaman, the thing that I think made me lose a lot of my belief in this movie is the fact that he's not like some former assassin or hitman or spy agent or anything like that. He was a normal guy. I think he was an electrician or some shit, but literally he starts watching YouTube videos, he starts doing a bunch of pull-ups and shit, And as a result, now he's capable of firing a gun and learning martial arts and just taking all these bad guys whenever he gets the chance to. I find it a little bit ridiculous. Now, granted, the gang members he's going afterwards, they're not master assassins either, but I do find it a little bit ridiculous that in a year's time, he just went from knowing nothing about fighting and tracking these people down to just being a badass. I mean, look at movies like John Wick, Taken, Die Hard, all those guys were in very established careers or had very established careers that required them to have a particular set of skills that made them right for movies like this. Joel Kinnaman just learned how to do it on YouTube and then became great at it. I don't buy that. And even still, I gotta tell you, the action in this movie, yeah, when you're leading up to when he's finally gonna go take these people out, it is a very long build-up. I mean, really, the first, I wanna say 2/3 of this movie is him coping with the loss of his son and training and figuring out who these people are. But it is, I gotta tell you, it's boring because there's nothing going on. There's no dialogue. There's nothing really interesting going on with the characters. And really, I think that's part of where having no dialogue is really hurting the movie because we're not really engaged in any serious, moments of great writing or dialogue or moments between certain characters. There's nothing. So as a result of that, you're kind of sitting here like, okay, this is gonna be a movie called Silent Night where really no one's gonna talk. We need an abundance of action here, and there really isn't any. I mean, the movie at one point tries, barely tries to establish some kind of a partnership or a dynamic between Joel Kinnaman and this detective of some sorts. But yeah, the detective's barely in this movie. He doesn't really show up until the end to help Joel Kinnaman out, and again, I know nothing about his character. You don't really feel like there's a partnership or some sort of buddy system, like there was in Die Hard or something like that. And that's just it. By the time you get to the end of this movie, you're kind of just sitting there like, I mean, it had some fun action, but I really wish I gave a shit more. So all in all, Silent Night, this was a miss for me. The action was fun. It's not generational or anything like that, but, it's enjoyable. Joel Kinnaman, he does whatever he can do in this movie. That being said, his ability to become a badass, I didn't buy into it at all. I didn't give a shit for really any of the characters in this movie. The villains, the side characters, none of them mattered to me. The movie wanted to be emotional, and it just didn't stick the landing. I really feel like this movie needed better storytelling if it was going to take the route that it took. I appreciate the movie wanted to be different and wanted to go for kind of a silent action movie, but in the end, original doesn't always make it good. And I know John Woo has a great reputation, I'm sure, for a lot of people, but this is not the movie that's going to get people onto his bandwagon. That's for sure. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.